So you're wanting to know what KJ did this time. I don't know. I haven't been paying much attention to her, except that I saw yesterday she apparently had a few interesting lives about what was said about her by I can't even think of her name right now. CC Suarez. CC Suarez did not talk to myself, Steve, Aaron, Tina, or any OG. She didn't even talk to Renell or um, who else was it I was thinking about yesterday? Oh, LB. None of us talked to her. So for Katie to say that, as I on Charlotte's channel, one website said a person commits an average of 3 felonies a day, which includes watching some YouTube videos. Oh my word, I have so much to say about so many stupid things this morning that I couldn't even come up with a title. So I think it's good that none of us spoke to Cece because she's trying to claim, she being that troll, is trying to claim that we all filled her ear with nonsense. Girl, no, none of us talked to her at all. I certainly didn't, and I know everybody else I know didn't either. We went way out of our way not to, because if she's doing a deep dive, let it be a deep dive on the videos of that strange little critter named Catherine. Let it be a true deep dive. In Virginia, at one time, it was a passenger throw something out of a window. I mean, felony of the driver. Yeah, Java man, crazy laws. And here's the thing. I want to throw this out there. I hate to say this. I don't doubt that the 3 felonies a day is true. I know here I have bird feeders set up right now outside. That violates Costa Rican law. You're not supposed to feed wild animals, not birds, not anything. And we have possums and all kinds of other weird little critters like quadamundes that come and eat the cat food that we put out for the feral cat population here. All of that is hey KJ, I'm committing felonies here, but guess what? I'm a rich gringo, so I won't be prosecuted. That's the way it goes here. I'm not too worried about ever getting prosecuted here, because rather if you're better off than the average Tico, they're not touching you because you're bringing money into the economy here. So there you go. Um, I don't really want to talk about KJ that much, except for you guys' questions. CC Suarez's video was good. We'll get you a felon T-shirt. Christine, I've always talked about the big felony that I was accused of that was dropped when I was riding in a car full of idiots or playing mailbox baseball. And I was going, I don't think this is a very good idea. Nobody listened to me. The next thing I know, one of them threw an enormous boulder at a police station's trash can. This was back in the dark ages when trash cans were all metal. This was brand spanking new and shiny. Don't ever do that, particularly when the cop is sitting in a patrol car in front of the police station. You're going to get caught. And there were a number of things with my ex. There were so many times I could have been arrested that the cops even intervened. One time when my ex and his cousin went picking mushrooms, and I stayed in the car as usual, going, this is stupid. You guys are going to get arrested. This is extremely, extremely, extremely stupid. They did get arrested. And then the cops just destroyed the mushrooms and sent them on their way with a lesser ticket for something or other. So, yeah, we could all be felons. We could all be felons. And for her to screech about felons when she has had a DUI is the most hypocritical thing I've ever seen. The only thing I'm going to say about the Marvon McCray case is that the stepmother lost her mother last night. I thought Cece was very fair. She used KJ's own videos. We know she's seething and mad by all the people. She's taking her anger out, accusing them of everything and so on. Christine, exactly. Exactly. Attacking for the sake of attacking. I think it's kind of like, I hate to put down dogs because I know a lot of you guys are dog people. I'm a cat person. But it reminds me of this insane little chihuahua that I had a friend that had that would attack for the sake of attacking. The dog didn't even have teeth. So you all you said is, I'm going to hit somebody, Peanut. I'm going to hit so and just raise your hand and say that, and the dog would attack you. I kind of feel like she has gone into that territory. She's just attacking and she can't help herself. It's like some kind of like stimulus response. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Tickamar. I used to write for Pathos nearly 10 years, a column called No Longer Quivering about the religious movement Quiverful. Please do the YouTube things, hit like, subscribe, press that bell notification button. Oh, these are just my stupid opinions. Don't bully anybody. I have to do the stupid disclaimers at the beginning because I'm getting ready to talk mad shit about people. And somebody accused, that's kind of funny. Friday night, I went to bingo, and I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm not a big fan of bingo. Couple of reasons. It's kind of mindless. If I'm going to play a game, I want to play a game where there's going to be real competition, like chess or any number of board games. Any number of games I like because they require this. Bingo, you're just sitting there. Did you watch Molly's last short video where she addressed the task for treasury? No, I did not. I did not at all. I had asthma real bad yesterday, so I didn't really watch much videos. I wasn't on here very much at all. I had my computer mostly off. Hey, Reagan Hill. I'm trying to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. I am got ugly American syndrome. I was once attacked by a loose chihuahua one winter. It couldn't get through the denim jeans I was wearing. That's what I'm talking about, Java. Why is it the tiniest critters are the most insanely fierce? Is it because their brains aren't big enough to tell them, hey, maybe I shouldn't be attacking this thing that's 1,000 times bigger than me? Hey, J. Marie. I feel a little bit better today. My asthma's not quite as bad as it was yesterday. Yesterday, I had to take a knee and just step out of everything because I had real bad asthma, which started with Friday night being forced to go to bingo with my husband. Well, he didn't really force me. He kind of twisted my arm and was insistent. And I hadn't been in forever. And there are some people that I do miss from my old friend group here because the church split. So I saw those people. That was good. I also saw people I don't like that were part of the friend group. Some craven millionaires that are just the most ridiculous and ridiculously entitled people you ever want to lay eyes on. And here's where that gets funny. I have to tell you guys this story. That's the whole reason that one of them back in December pulled up one of my videos, and I was kind of on tenterhooks when I heard later because I had said some shit about that person in the video because they're one of the most ridiculous and ridiculously entitled Americans that I know that lives here, that's wealthy, that's well-to-do, and could not buy his way into running the church. He got run off by the pastor. So now he's found another church that was impoverished that, hello, gringo millionaire, and he has spent a ton of money there. He had pulled up my video in December and showed it to my husband and said, are you watching what your wife is doing? Well, Friday night he said, I don't watch your videos anymore. You're negative. You're extremely negative and you're extremely boring. I just kind of laughed and was like, Okay, then, bye. Okay, bye. I said, are you sure you're not a KJ supporter? I actually asked him that. He's like, no, you talk about her way too much. Maybe they go by prison rules. Attacking the biggest person on your first day show how tough you are. Java, that could be. Or it could be that their brains are so tiny that they see everything as attack. 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 Are you threatening me? I want TP for my bunghole. I mean, that sort of thing. How many of you have watched the new Beavis and Butthead movie? Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe. I've seen some of it. I've not seen the whole thing, and it is freaking hysterical from what I saw. Particularly when they heard on college campus what white privilege was, and they were going around going, excuse me, pardon me, got white privilege here. KJ posted a video that Miss Wynette said sent her by. Said KJ was told not to share it last night when Miss Wynette was her lowest point. Oh my God. That is the worst. I can't, well, I was going to say, I can't believe she would do that. But here's the thing. I absolutely can believe she would do that because that is so her MO. This is a chick that does these sort of things all the time. Miss Wynette's mother died last night, and she really could have used the support of other people, or at least some kindness from others. And to hear that KJ was doing that is unbelievably wrong. My brother saw it and keeps telling me to watch it. We were big fans of Beavis and Butthead. The video of it was on in the hospital. Vaughn in the hospital. She thinks she's a journalist. Yet another ethical violation. Java man, every time she says she's a journalist reporter, I just cringe. I think about her coming up with that title. She was working at Pathos. Vaughn's family is about to sue KJ for posting that on her Facebook after she has not to. They have every right to do that. They're private people. They're private citizens. They're not her. They're not in her friends group. They have every right to the expectation of privacy under the law. You know, I went to bed early last night and then couldn't sleep because of asthma drugs. I couldn't sleep till almost 1, but so I didn't see any of what KJ may or may not have done last night. And that's the thing. You can't really tell what she's about to do or done. You can get up in the morning and go, oh, holy cow. Oh, holy cow. Molly has asked for everyone that has clips of KJ to send them to her. So now is Molly going to do a deep dive on KJ? Do you know? Cece Suarez did a good deep dive. And as I said, none of us OGs contacted her in any way, shape, or form, nor were we contacted. LB was the only one that was contacted. And she chose not to return the contact and talk to Cece. And I think that was a very wise move on her part. Just like it was a wise move on Tina, Aaron, Steve, any number of people's for not talking to her. I was thinking that the International KJ Decentralized Resistance Group is now celebrating the 10th year of its existence. Yes, it is. Her live last night was live, J. Marie. I managed to stop in for a few minutes before my uncertain internet here dropped out, which I figured it was. And at that point, I just went and read a book. Sounds like Molly is going to help the family sue her. I hope she does. I hope she does. I kind of hope Molly does too, because I went and looked at that Secret Lives video that KJ was trying to say was Molly. It sounds like her, but you know something? There's no hint that it is her. The voice is similar. From here up, they show the girl was similar, but I don't know, TK, why you don't have. I don't know why you don't have, but I can't say for sure that 100% sure it was her. I dug in into Internet Movie Database trying to pull up some information on that show and other places just to see if there was any credit given to Marissa for the show, and there was nothing. Plot twist, it was actually Nat. There was some discussion of that last night, someplace I was, where they were talking about the various behaviors of Nat. I feel like Molly and Cece is definitely KJ's karma. J. Marie, I think so too. I think so too. I think so too. So we'll see. And so I wasn't on Friday night. I got drug off to bingo, like I said, where I didn't win a damn thing. I don't even have the fun of drinking anymore because of one of my meds I'm on. I can't drink on. And the food sucked. And it was way overpriced as usual. Elle said she thought it was Nat. That could be. That could well be. And you can and you know from Nat's former behavior that Nat is not above coming right back to the internet, no matter the police say don't do that. JJ has also gotten Miss Latisha fired. How did she do that, Sunshine's Nana? How did she do that? That is actionable too. When you start going real life, you talked about it during the live last night. Man, I missed so much. I'm glad, T King, because I don't know what to tell you. I am now technologically impaired where I used to know all this crap cold and be able to do it. Now my brain's like, oh my goodness, I don't know. Wow. Yeah, I didn't get to see all of that. I was going to say I'm going to have to do a day of watching while I'm folding clothes because I missed so much. Yeah, stupidly went with my husband to the paint store yesterday morning. Well, not even to the paint store, the we call it the ferreteria here, but it is the hardware store. We used to go to this really big hardware store called Kamako. They got bought out by Colono, and I was not happy with them being bought out by Colono because Colono's paint is not as good as the brand that Kamako sold. So I was going to buy paint for the cabina bedroom, for the bedroom of the guest house, because we had a new AC put in. They moved it to a different wall, and now I got this patch. It's probably about this long and about this wide that is not turquoise. So I need to paint the room. That was the reason Molly said, well, she did this morning. Java Man, neither can I. And here's the crazy thing, here's the crazy thing for me, Java Man, with the whole Donald Trump thing. I've said before, I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump. I don't like either one. And I wish that we could overturn and have a happier, healthier, saner government. I was always a Bernie fan in a lot of ways. And because there's things wrong with both parties. I'm just going to throw that out there. But since this stupid whole FBI raid thing happened, goes in waves with these Twitter friends. If you say anything on a liberal's website, I'm a liberal person, you have a flood of MAGAs. Make America Great Again types flooding in, friending you, and saying offensive things or posting offensive things or sending you threats and various things. So since this has happened, it's like hundreds of these guys, which is why I have pinned on my thing. Don't ask me to be for friendship if you're going to call Kamala Harris a filthy name, if you're going to do this. I've got a whole long list of things like if you got guns galore on your profile where you're just like glorifying over your guns, you're masturbating over them, don't friend me because I'm not interested. And in the last couple of days since this whole thing came out about the FBI raid, I'm dealing with these chuckleheads left and right on Twitter. And just like, no, I don't want them anymore. And I want KJ around. So my policy is going to be to keep blocking these people. If you show up and you have a nasty name, or you have a lot of nasty things on your timeline, guess what? Block. Ain't nobody got time for that. Maybe he was working on the nuclear golf club. Maybe nuclear powered golf club, nuclear powered golf cart. No president needs to be having classified top secret documents at their home when they're no longer president. I could even give him a little latitude of having them there when he was president and he was working on things, but not now, post presidency. All of that needs to be turned over to the National Archives. That's the reason the National Archives exists. You just don't hang around that crap at all. My understanding is she repeatedly called them, telling them her past and stuff, just calling and demanding action. That is crazy. KJ got her fired. Yeah, that's awful. That is really awful. I talk here a lot about not going real life. And I get on to people on Reddit for going real life. I had one of them losing their mind on me, telling me that I went real life when I told Erica, whatever her last name is, to buzz off and just stop it with the conspiracy theories about KJ and with all the claims that she has all these legal documents, because clearly she doesn't. If you have something that is evidence, show what it is. Provide a police report number. Hoisted by his own petard. That could fit with both KJ and Mr. Trump. Miss Latisha was on the phone with Molly, and Molly was so fed up she went live. I think Molly should do a fundraiser for attorney fees to sue KJ. Absolutely, number one fan. I would contribute to that. That's what's being said through live chats. That is just crazy. Good morning. Where it's going to be too hot today. It's going to be pretty hot here today. Too low. It's not hot yet, but it will be very shortly. But I'm kind of used to it. The problem I have now is we're having the rainiest rainy season we've ever had, so mold growth is exponential. And I can't believe that she's doing all this shit with KJ. I can't. It's just, if she tells people not to go real life at all, I can see this is going to be a day, since I did have a real bad asthma reaction to the cards. I'm to the paint yesterday. That I'm going to be huffing on my nebulizer, taking drugs, and working on these stupid cards. I've got them all drawn up now. I just need to start doing the actual lettering with markers and stuff. And I'm going to scan these and upload them so anyone can print them off and play with them and write the game rules, because KJ has gone to such a ridiculous place now. I've got to add some stuff now that I've heard about this. I've got to add getting somebody fired and mocking somebody whose mother just died, because that's pretty awful, even for her. Every time that we think she can't go any lower, KJ says, "Here, hold my White Claw," and does something worse. She has now terminated 2 females in their careers. First was Jessa. She's also shut down any kind of thing for Ginger too. Ginger Duggarviolo. She's contacted every sponsor that Ginger and Jeremy have managed to get, and has got them to in their financial relationship with those 2. So it's actually 3 now. Charlotte has told her children not to defend her lest KJ goes after them as well. It's terrible that she has to do that. I don't have to do that, thank God. My kids have a lot of sense. KJ must not have another idea for a story. So this is why she keeps dragging this out. Well, I think it's a couple of things. Number one, she knows that everybody's talking about this and that it's everywhere, crossing boundaries. There are people that don't do commentary talking about it. There are people that are covering this left and right, and the common denominator is her name, and people are looking. up her videos, which is a shame because we're supposed to be having No Hate Watch August. Steve and I talked about that. No Hate Watch in August to tank her numbers because that's the only real way that she will ever go away is if her numbers fall to the floor. So this must really be impacting her numbers because when her numbers go down, she tends to take crazier and crazier actions. But this is off the deep end for her. I'm still drinking my coffee. And I have a coffee tale to tell you guys. Bottomless glass of wine. The single glass of wine that gets refilled constantly card. Yep. I'm going to have to add a whole other section of cards. Don't forget she got 7-2 to lose jobs. That's right. So that's a whole bunch of people whose livelihoods she is screwed with. A whole pile of people. Molly briefly mentioned the movie about the hooker and her husband was in the background and added the conversation. MIT was just a show where she was paid. So she confirmed that was her in the show. That's the thing about KJ. She thinks reality TV is real. You and I know that it is extremely scripted. Right now, I'm watching the new season of Life After Lockup, which I cannot get my husband to watch or do videos with me about, and I can see how scripted parts of this is. So why would anybody believe that reality TV is real? Because it is scripted as hell. That was one of the things that I enjoyed about the show Snowflake Mountain that was on, was it Netflix? I watched it at my daughter's house. You can't fake some of those things, some of those survivalist kind of things they were doing. But I did laugh at how easy they had it because they were in the Lake District in England. It wasn't like they were in, the outback of Australia or where they filmed a lot of the survivors at near San Juan del Sur in Nicaragua, which is very near here that I've been there a couple of times. Molly briefly mentioned okay, her husband in the background. Honestly, I don't think I ever watched reality TV. I hadn't even turned mine on in years. Java Man, you're probably better off for it. Hey, Rock. Molly said she would pay someone $1,000 to get a dig of a copy of the info commercial that she did, challenging KJ to find it for her. Snowflake Mountain. Yeah, Snowflake Mountain was pretty funny. And I don't really watch much reality TV. I like the Love After Lockup franchise, but I'm falling out of love with it because of how scripted it was. Snowflake Mountain made me laugh. I haven't watched any of the Housewives franchise, but I did watch a few episodes of the DC one because I wanted to see what they were going to come up with and who they were saying were the biggest social climbers. And that was kind of scripted too. Scripted. I saw Alone in Mongolia. Oh, oh wow. Oh wow. So maybe we can fundraise to send our favorite troll to Mongolia. The sand desert where there is nothing. Where that one of the movies that Hugh Laurie was in about a plane that crash landed there. Not someplace I would rather go. So you guys have given me some something to think about. I'm going to have to go and watch all these live streams that went on. I did watch Renelle's last night where she talked about what was going on. Virginia, I think it was a felony to make love in any position other than a missionary. Very likely. And here it's a felony to own a sex toy. It's a felony to own a sex toy. And I know many Americans that have them here that are all committing felonies. Don't do that to the Mongolian people. Yeah, T King, I could not. Can you imagine how she'd whine there? She would immediately be chug-a-lugging fermented goat's milk. I almost said camel's milk because I don't think they use camels there. It's goats. Or is it fermented yak's milk? Whatever it is they drink there to get their groove on. You know that. Yeah, Java. So that's one thing that was funny is these stupid laws. Like one of the laws where I lived in Virginia, this particular part of Virginia I lived in, they had a camera crew came and filmed a show for one of the Discovery channels where they were going to all 50 states. And they were breaking all these crazy laws. The town I lived in had a law that said you could not scrub a mule on the sidewalk. So they washed a mule on the sidewalk. They scrubbed him down. Was it a mule or a pig? It was some kind of livestock. So they broke that rule and we all laughed. We thought that was kind of funny. Apparently, yak's milk is sweeter and tints slightly pink. Yes, that's what I hear too, Java Man. I've never had a chance to drink yak's milk. We did have yak yarn show up in the art and design studio I worked at for a long time. We had all kinds of crazy gray yaks yarn. And I thought that was just hysterical. Never bought any. It was quite costly, but it was interesting. I had a boss for a while that was buying some exotic things. I was busy explaining to a girlfriend of mine yesterday what went down when I left the art studio, because that was pretty crazy. I had worked there off and on for a long time. That was my side hustle for some years. And it didn't go well because the new owner bought out the art and design and the quilt store and basically proceeded to go off on all of us for not reading her mind. And that's kind of how I'm seeing if we all had jobs where you know who would be in charge. I suspect she would chew you out for not reading her mind. I just can't believe all the crap she did. So if I'm goofy and I'm jumping around today, blame it on the paint, blame it on Colono, because like I said, I went in there to look at paint. I saw the paint they were using, and the whole place smelled like paint, and I had an asthma attack. I love some of the British baking contest shows, like the Great British Baking Show, the Great Pottery Throwdown, and Portrait Artist of the Year. I've watched some of those too. I like those. According to one passage of the Bible, bestiality is punishable by death. There's some weird stuff, Java Man. There's a place in one of the early chapters of the Bible in the Old Testament where it talks about some battle, and the army had to go in the temple and use the altar or behind the altar as a toilet. So if you're looking for weird, there is so much weird in the Bible. That's what I've always liked about the Bible, and why I don't think it's a good idea to base your life entirely on the Bible, every word as law. But it's better to just say the spirit of the thing rather than the actual word. Yeah, I saw that Charlotte changed her name to Felon on the Web. We're all kind of felons on the web, if that is to be believed that we all commit felonies. And with the laws so strange, it's pretty easy to commit one, whether you mean to or not. Like I said, I feed the birds. That's against the law here. And when I go to Arnall, I hand feed all the stupid little quadamundis that run up. There are a ton of them. And they're the cutest little things you've ever seen. They're like tiny bears with raccoon markings. So I'm glad that Charlotte is keeping a sense of humor about all of this, because I remember when Nat was sending her stuff, and she was having meltdowns. And I kept telling her, it's like, I don't think that it's worth worrying about. My theory is that 2,000 plus years ago, somebody said, if I catch my idiot brother-in-law humping my goats one more time, I am going to kill him. Oh, yes. I'm sure that had a part in it. And as I'm writing my book on my time in my old church, and it has been, I keep saying this has been a hard thing to do, because not because I don't like writing. I do have to keep stopping and writing at other projects and articles for different publications. So it's been hard to talk about some of these things. And right now I am talking in the book, I'm writing a part about personal revelation. It depends upon what the goat is wearing. Yes. So personal revelation is one of those controversial things. And I keep talking about this. If you have a revelation for yourself, and we had a lady a couple of weeks ago on the Quiverful people I still watch. I still look to see what ridiculous thing they're saying. That said that if you kiss before marriage in any way, shape, or form, you've defrauded your husband of use of your lips. Now, how are you defrauding your husband of that? And that kind of sparked this personal revelation thing because she said, well, the Lord told me. The Lord might tell you to go hump a goat. And that might only apply to you, not to everybody else in the world. So this was said quite a few times at our old church, not the goat humping, but about the Lord said to me. And it was ridiculous stuff. My husband and I were laughing and pinballing things off each other's head the other night, talking about this, ideas about, oh, you could not just only catch a cold sore kissing strangers, you can get mono and other things. So you can get COVID that way too, and probably monkeypox. So we were pinballing these ideas and we were talking about this one guy named Dale Mast. Dale used to come to our church and give all these big revelations. He'd show up and say, the Lord saith to you, blah, blah, blah. And he was a former Mennonite, maybe. And he kept saying things like he told my husband he was going to be a linebacker for the Lord. What in the hell does that even mean? He said one time, he says, I'm seeing somebody that has 3 things on top of a shelf or a cabinet, and there's maybe 3 things beneath. And at the time I was drinking the Kool-Aid so hard, my hand went up and I was like, ooh, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And he said, what 3 things do you have? I said, well, I've got 3 orchid plants on a shelf above an aquarium where I have 3 hermit crabs. So he thought about that one a minute. He says, the Lord is saying that you will always be somebody who is able to access the deepest levels of his glory, like a crab scuttling along on the thing. And I think that's a bunch of bull. For releasing private videos, pictures, messages of Miss Wynette and Marvin Sr. visit with Vaughn is private. She did a live and released all that sensitive information as Miss Wynette's mother passed. Yes, we it's unforgivable. You're absolutely right. That's the worst thing she's done. It means I have to add a whole different horrible level to these cards. I think I'm going to call it nuclear, because that is just crazy. And these are like 1 through 10 of different like suits, and I will do another suit. Kissing can give you a variety of STDs. Oh, don't tell me that, because I was kissing all those guys in Mardi Gras when I was 15. Unfortunately, never contracted anything. Today, not quite so much. You'd have to wear a dental dam to kiss all those guys. Is Uni Rock on our payroll? I would say quite likely. Quite likely. She is always having him defend her. Nuclear golf club, glows in the dark, can hit the one into space. That would work. Or if you had a nuclear powered golf cart that could do everything, it could polish your clubs. It has a thing with a cooler and then a barbecue pit on top, all kinds of things. So perhaps that's what our former president was working on with his nuclear paperwork. I believe Unirock is on the payroll because sometimes he's critical of her. He started out as critical of her, then suddenly flipped and became nice, and then he became critical again. Toad bitched that they were paying him and he was not performing, and now he's saying all these nice things again. Money is changing hands. I feel certain of that. She poked the bear. She's going after Molly Golightly, husband and Tia. Digging, digging, digging. Pace her background. Check the works. Rock, that's what's so funny about this whole thing, and that's what's so funny about her going after me, because the only thing she ever is able to say is that I'm obsessed with her, because there's not a record for me. I haven't done anything awful. I try not to commit felonies unless it involves feeding and petting animals or other things, like when my asthma's bad, I will sometimes obtain edibles here. Edibles are still illegal here. Everything to do with marijuana is illegal here. Nobody pays any mind to that. Gringos, just no. If she's going after Molly's husband, she is stupid. No kidding. He buried Ivana on his golf. Yeah, I know. I saw that, Java man. I could not believe it. I could not believe he did that. I wonder if that's where she had said she wanted to be buried. He had to have the last word with her, I guess. And that's so sad. That's so sad because, like KJ, some of Trump's accomplishments aren't really real because his father had paid for them and things. But Ivana had real accomplishments. I mean, she had been a skier that was had won some competitions, things that you can't fake. You can't hire somebody else to go out there and ski for you and then pretend it was you. And gave him a nice tax break. It must have. No relationship with her parents. Yeah. I think that she has such a minimal relationship with her family. Probably none of them know. And I'm sure none of them have Googled her, because if they'd Googled her, they might have intervened and stepped in and said something to Toad. He got a big tax write-off for getting a cemetery license. Oh, that's just tacky. That is just tacky. I read her family doesn't want anything to do with her, and Toad's family doesn't like her because KJ said Toad's brothers were druggies. She also said that one of his brothers had committed SA or against children even. She's going after Molly's husband. Part of his New Jersey golf course is classified as farmland. It has a couple of goats. Well, I will say this. Goats are useful if you're trying to keep down your weed population in your garden or your fields or anything. Not a wise move. Yeah, not a wise move at all. We're watching her go nuclear. I think she's circling the drain. She has now taken actions that are legally actionable. And once you do that, once you cross that line, that's why I keep saying here, don't go real life, Watch her circle the drain. Don't call CPS and add to the stupid, because she is always using that crap. We don't need to ever feed her victim mentality, which is why we don't go real life with her. Why August is no hate watching her. We don't go real life because it never works out well. And she's able to use that to further her victim narrative. And I think that's how she has graham crackers still representing her, because she's always talking about this crap and playing the victim. And I don't doubt at all that she showed up, played the victim so hard that she fooled him. He is a very educated man and very wise against people like KJ. This is becoming a war of attrition against KJ with multiple fronts. At what point is she out of money? Java man, I'm wondering that myself. That's another reason why I've stepped back from ranting about her as much, trying to, because it is becoming a war of attrition. And she doesn't care if she has to use a nuclear bomb to shut up everybody. She is having her subs trying to dig up Tia's past and checking to see if she comes with criminal history. So this war of attrition is wrong. All of this is just plain old vanilla wrong. You just don't do this to other people. And other creators, if you don't like them, hey, Shelly, you just don't watch them. You just say, bless their hearts, and you click off. That's what I tell people. That's what I told that stupid millionaire the other night when he started talking about my lives being the most boring thing on the planet, and I'm talking about super uninteresting crap. I told him, I said, you're not my target audience, number one. Number two, if you're bothered by it, click off. She deserves to be left broke. She deserves at this point to be living in a refrigerator box under the interstate. She had her subs go after the court case against Sophie Long, forcing the judge to seal the case. Yeah, I remember that too. She's also trying to pull up Molly's real estate license, claiming Molly Golightly's husband is an investment banker. Doxed her 16-year-old son. Ugh. And doxing is against the law. Like I said the other day, I had somebody who I'm pretty sure was Erica, the lady that I've had troubles with because she's kind of a KJ in her own right, but she's against KJ. He's an international banker. Uh-huh. Has everybody looked that up and confirmed it? Because that's the thing. As I was telling Erica, in the Pitchfork Nation, we don't make claims that we can't back up with documents because of the fact that it's. And then the millionaire didn't start an international anti-Suzanne resistance movement. No Java man. He did not. He and I, we knock heads sometimes. I think he's kind of a jackass, and I kind of like him at the same time. I have no doubt he's like a genius level IQ. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. He owns a company that does like FDA testing and stuff. Brilliant guy, brilliant, but rather arrogant. And he sees what he wants to see. He's the one at Christmas time asked me how I liked the sermon on Christmas Eve at his church that he goes to now. And I had to tell him, it's like, I don't like sermons where it's all hell, fire, and brimstone, which is what this was. It started out with the Christmas story and then took a hard left into you're all going to hell to burn territory. And Christmas Eve is one of those services where you have people coming in who maybe don't go to church or family members. They're doing it just to be nice. It is not the point where you go all hot, hell and brimstone, fire and brimstone with people. You just don't. Because it was a kindness not to do that. You don't want to shock them. But that church he's going to is all fire and brimstone. I have no use for that. I have no use for fear-mongering Christianity after everything I've been through. It's like, why are we majoring in the minors? And that's my rant. Hey, Erica, I didn't mean to ignore you, but I was ranting about the millionaire I know. He did not start an international anti-Suzanne resistance, and we do still talk to each other. And I was picking on him the other night because he was smoking a big old stogie. I told him, I said, the only use for cigars is if you're taking a horseback riding or walking through the forest and there's bugs everywhere. Smoking a cigar is the best way to get rid of them and have your own little zone of no bugs. Shame on me for stealing, copying KJ's work and material. And the more she talks, just makes Todd's case even better. I know that, Erica. I keep thinking about that. I am fine today, Angela, just fighting a little bit of asthma. I never finished my story yesterday. So we went to this ferreteria, this hardware store, and it had been bought out by this other hardware store that I don't like. And I don't like the people who work there. They're just snotty, they're rude, they're all these different things. And I walked into this hardware store where I'd been many times before it got bought out. And it was all their snotty, rude haters were working there. I was like, because it was all these people who'd been so awful to me at their Tamarindo store were now at their Waka store. I was like, oh, smelling paint. The paint fumes were so strong, I started having asthma. I haven't had asthma since right around Valentine's Day. I've been asthma free. And I'm getting ready to paint the guest room bedroom because of the fact that we had the air conditioner changed and they had to move it on a different wall. And now I got this big patch of dirty lavender looking wall that clashes with the clean turquoise that I painted the room. So I had to go get paint. I will show you this. It's sort of kind of, the green that's on here is close to the color I'm going to use in there. According to KJ. Oh, did she say that? Hell no. I have Tamarindo does need a Lowe's. Hell no. I've never taken her stories. I don't copy her. If I copied her, I would be doing 10 or 15 live streams a day. Here's the thing. I wrote for Pathos for nearly 10 years. I wrote for Pathos for like 7 or 8 years before she ever appeared on the radar. I just recently started doing YouTubes because she made me so crazy and angry with her stealing of my material. Oh, I've got to rant about this. This is the worst. She did that. And when I saw that she was using my joining and leaving story as her own, it was just unbelievable. And can point back to Pathos where all my material is still up, going all the way back. Oh, she ripped me off. So she's pretending not to. She called that rock and roll church. May I suggest rock and roll church is never a term used at these charismatic Christian churches that do contemporary worship. We call it contemporary worship for a reason. It's not. Oh, thank you, Jan. Thank you so much. My yarn fun thanks you. My giant piles of yarn on either side that I'm trying to sort. Thanks you. There is a video of her and Toad bragging about getting all the goods, service, and financial assistance to church and moms groups. She told me when I talked to her about her church experience, and she did not use rock and roll church, she just said they joined because they were overwhelmed with the care of their son, and they were hoping that the church could help them, and discovered quickly that the church was all about running their mouths about how much they love people. Thank you, Autistic Shield. My yarn fun thanks you even better. I'm going to do that. I'll do that eventually. Get around to it. As you can tell by my streams, I'm just going to say it free form, which drives my husband crazy because he likes this. I'm more like, okay, I'm flying by the seat of my pants. What am I doing today? Is that a good thing to be doing? Is that a good thing to be doing today? As I see it, yes. And that's just my nature of being an artist. I've always been like that. Drives the husband nuts, but it's what it is. It is what it is. So it makes me crazy. Toad doesn't believe you about. He doesn't? Oh my goodness. The church expected her to donate offerings because it was a church. Yes. They also expected her to work in the nursery, to teach Sunday school, to do all these different things. And I address that in my book too, because many of these churches, these contemporary Christian, like evangelical, charismatic kind of churches, they have a thing they do. They not only do they love bomb you to get you in, and she described what they did to her, and it was love bombing. They love bombed her in at a low point in her life, and they're notorious for that. That's how they got me too. And Disciples of God. I'm not sure which one it was. She never told me. I never dug. I'm so used to seeing Aaron and Charlotte's streams. Oh, found on the web. I love that. I love that. That's kind of why I have Susanna Salty, that crazy feminist writer, because I had a crazy Christian guy that came after me with that title. It's like, oh, that's perfect. I'm seizing it. I just have to keep believing that karma will get her. I pray I am alive to see it. Number one fan saying. So back to her rock and roll church claims. So she told me that she was doing those things. Those churches, after they love bomb you, they keep you too busy to think. They plug you in here, they plug you in there. Because the church has to be run. It has to have bodies doing these things to be able to run. I've talked about my former church experience. I was on worship team for years and years and years. I sing, I play the piano, I do all kinds of stuff. I even play the bass guitar, believe it or not. I don't play regular guitar because my fingers are not tough enough. But I've tried the bass guitar too. And it has to be done. Even worship team. Oh, I'm sorry, Rock. I'm sorry. It's storming. Because that's frightening as hell. So I did all those things just like her. You get plugged in. They do this on purpose. It's a way to connect you. It's a way to keep you from thinking too much. There's a number of reasons why some of these charismatic churches just plug you right in, and they do that. I can't see her volunteering either. I can see her being told, "Hey, do you want to teach Sunday school? Hey, can you take a turn at nursery? Hey, can you bring snacks for this? Hey, can you work this Sunday post church dinner?" I can see that happening because they did that to me too. The only one that I approached was worship team because it was kind of like I hadn't done music in years. Those of you that know me well know that my ex husband was a musician and had been a musician for many, many years. Actually, um, played, worked at a studio for a while as a studio musician. And he and I did music for years. Also, they wanted donations. Yes, I would not trust her in the nursery. Neither would I, number one fan. Just passing on what Toad posted one time. I'm glad to hear that. Charlotte wants everyone to sub to her backup. Why is she afraid that she's going to get struck by KJ? I mean, that's a possibility. So she also said that she and her husband were looking for financial support. They were looking for respite care, which I don't blame them for looking for respite care because having a child that has chronic, said this before, it's a hard road to take. I know how it was for me. I know at one point I needed respite care. You need respite care to come in, somebody who is experienced with whatever the problem is, whether it is feeding tubes or whatever, and somebody who is familiar. And it's a big need. I got no respite care from my church either, by the way. It was more people I got to know through moms groups, local moms groups of people who had children, and we with problems, and we got together in a group through social services. I still think that Toad is a much better name than my balls are made of crystal. I have crystal balls. Ugh. KJ is saying Dre's admins is, I know that. And she is saying, I won't share that. I couldn't do all the church stuff. I'm not atheist, but I don't trust organized religions. Atheist shill, atheistic shill, that's where I am. My husband, every Sunday, he said it this morning. He said, Suzanne, are you coming to church? And I said, well, let's look at the rates, the COVID rates for Costa Rica. And they were high. At one point, I think it was like 16,000 one day last week. And I was like, this place is small. We only have 3 million people living here, and the infection rates are off the charts. Hermie's mom, I'm just pissed off. I'm pissed off this morning. More people are telling me what I've missed because I've been up in the bed with the asthma yesterday because I dared to buy paint, and I had to go to the specialty paint store to get it because our hardware store got taken over by another hardware store that I can't stand, and their paint is like water. And I was not about to waste money on that. So my husband is grumbling because I paid $60 a gallon for paint. But guess what? I got the kind of paint that you only have to paint once in 20 years, the kind of paint I used to use in the States. And I got a full respirator mask for myself because I like to do the painting. I just can't get 0 VOCs here. Me and my youngest are autistic. My daughter is nonverbal and has an inoperable low-grade pancreatic tumor. Oh my goodness. She's doing well and we don't know much about it. There's not much data on it. Autistic shield, that's why I kept saying for KJ, if she'd have stuck with her topic of helping people who have children who are chronically ill, she could have made a fortune and done it nicely and helped people. But no, she was all about dugging for the dollars. I didn't get the notification. Karma Kid, I scheduled this late last night. If Dre does an interview, she will live to regret it. Absolutely. Dre, don't do it. Don't do it. So KJ said that because they didn't get respite care, they didn't get financial help, they didn't get people watching Vaughn, they didn't get people doing this, that, the other, that they were done. And she and told me that it was a small experience, maybe a year or 2 years. So it wasn't very long. And I found with these extreme high demand religious organizations, like we're talking about churches that love bomb you and then plug you into 5 trillion things. Either you grab that crazy ball and you run with it, or you think, no, I think this sucks. And I think that that's where they were with it. They came in as atheists, and making that atheist to believer transition is hard. It was hard for me, but eventually, it may happen sometimes. And if it doesn't genuinely happen, then you go right back to what you had before. And I think that's what happened with them. Um, it's the only explanation. They didn't get the kind of help they were looking for, so they left. And that's what she told me. And I don't think it was a very long period of time, maybe 24 months, maybe. But it certainly wasn't 3, 4, 5, 10 years like she was trying to say at one point. It wasn't anything like that at all. Nothing. And I wanted to tell you guys, I'm talking about all that. I'm talking about the love bombing. I'm talking about being plugged in. I'm talking about church hopping. And I had started thinking about it. I wrote in my book about this. The thing that made me start thinking about those aspects of what I was doing was a episode of King of the Hill called Church Hopping, in which Hank Hill leaves his Methodist church and hops over to one of these rock and roll churches, even though it wasn't called that. It was contemporary worship, charismatic, evangelical church. Were you part of the science community? I knew KJ before she started YouTube. Me and EKC met her on the same day in the same group. KJ was my mod. Autistic Shield, no. She would start all these things or would join and become a mod and would add me. And the thing is, I had my hands so full with no longer quivering and just moving here and trying to get things right here. We've been here 5 years now, and finally, I feel like we're finally settling in good. We have our groove. I met her at the very beginning of that. And she kept adding me to all these groups. I kept quietly unjoining because I just did not have the time, the energy, or any of that. I knew she was heavily involved in the scientific pro-vax community. And I know Aaron was too. And I had taken a look at that and said, yeah, that's good. I'm not doing it. Hank Hill was upset that her family took his pew. Yes, Java Man, that is that episode. He was upset that they took his pew in the Methodist church. And I've seen that at our old church too, not the Methodist church, but the old Fundy Town, charismatic, evangelical church I went to. People would just lose their damn minds if a new family came in and sat in their seats. Oh my word. It was like into the world, glaring at each other. And for me, I didn't do with that because I sat right up front. I was a suck ass at the very beginning, at least. Was like, oh, can I do this for you? To the point where my pastor called me in to help clean his house a number of times when his wife was sick and various things. I'm glad Charlotte's not taking it either. So her claims of the rock and roll church are just telling me that she was not that deeply involved with what was going on there. Did you see the one where Peggy Hill testified in Mexican court in Spanish? Some of us were speculating. It reminds us of KJ. No, but I'm going to have to Google it and see. I know that Peggy was always proud of her Spanish, and I, to this day, am not sure how accurate her Spanish is because I struggle with Spanish. My husband was laughing at me the other day because he's watching me go around and having conversations with all these Espanol speakers, little conversations, and because I have little things down where I can say, how you doing? I'm doing fine. Have a lovely day. The weather's nice. No rain, no lluvia, and so that's where you start. But I get thrown off if I hear Spanish spoken with other accents besides Costa Rican, and now I'm starting to pick up on the Nicoese one, the one that people from Nicaragua speak with. But if I hear a Mexican accent, I'm kind of like, huh? Because the other day I did hear one. There was a guy who was taking money for you to park in one of the little unofficial parking lots in Tamarindo Beach. And he came up and started speaking Spanish in a Mexican accent. And I figured out later it was a Mexican accent because he started asking us for pesos when he started asking for, what do you call it, for colones, dólares, and we didn't understand his accent. So he asked for pesos. It's like, oh, you're Mexican. So it's the accents in different Spanish speaking communities and the little colloquialisms they use. It varies widely, so widely. Spanish is my first language. I still understand quite a bit, but I have issues speaking it. Santiago, Chile, Chile. You came to Canada when you're 6. Oh my goodness. That's pretty awesome. You know, it really screwed me up when I was a kid because I grew up in a community where a lot of Cajun French was still spoken around me. And as a little kid, I used to speak it. I don't speak it now as an adult. And so I grew up kind of bilingual in both of those. And then when I got to high school, they tried to make me take regular French, and it just did not work out. Regular French and Cajun French are two distinctly different animals. There's some words that are the same. The pronunciations are very different. There are so many other things that are different. So I just flubbed it up left and right and went out and took German instead. So my brain thinks German is my primary language, and I have to fight against that living in a Spanish speaking country if I go to speak to local people. For the first year that I was here, every time they speak to me, my mouth would pop open, German would come out. KJ Spanish is good, better than mine, but I understand it. I've been trying to determine how much Spanish because I've not heard her ever speak it. Before I would join the caters, I had never heard it. I didn't even know her degree was in Spanish. I knew she had a degree, but I didn't know she spoke in Spanish. Did you see Molly Golightly video last night? She was really upset or something. Katie say it or did. Angela, no, I did not. Like I said yesterday, I went paint hunting and ended up having a massive asthma attack for the first time since Valentine's Day. So I only watched a few minutes of LB because I wanted to go in there and say hi to LB because of the whole CC Suarez thing and her not returning CC's call. I wanted to say to LB, and I put it on a couple different things. Yeah, I think that was a wise move on everybody's part that was an OG because we could not be accused of being the source. So I saw very little of that. My godmother was French. Her husband was German. When I took French in school, it was totally different. Arby's mom, you are right on the money. So different, so different. And I could not make that change. I am not skilled in languages. My brain does not work that way. Not at all. My husband, so many different damn languages. That man knows German. He knows French. He knows Russian. Obviously English. He knows a little bit of Igbo. He lived in Indonesia and spoke whatever they speak there. All these different languages, these different places he's lived and visited. KJ saw how much money Dre was making on Facebook, so that is why she's now going live there. I figured she had seen somebody making bank. You know, I used to do Facebook live videos, but for NLQ. And I finally got to the point where I could make some money, but that was right about the time that Vicki Garrison and I had our falling out. And Vicki locked me out of all NLQ, no longer quivering things on Facebook. Just locked me out of everything. Does he know computer languages? Hell no. I have got to talk about that because the last time I ended a live stream and I was talking about CC Suarez's version of a KJ deep dive. And then I got a phone call at the exact same time. And it was a telemarketer wanting me to telling me that my car warranty was out of date. And I was giggling because I have a brand new car. So obviously it's BS. So it was my American phone was ringing while I was doing the live stream, but that wasn't what was so disturbing. What was disturbing was I'm sitting in here. I have this door shut. I have the heavy doors in the living room, and I have to set up in there and show you guys around one day soon. That door was shut. It's heavy glass doors because the very end of our living room is glass doors. And my husband's there on the deck with his cell phone, holding his cell phone, screaming into it, screaming obscenities that I can hear and hear. That's how loud he is. And I started freaking out because I know that KJ and or others, Mrs. Crane, are looking for reasons to hit creators. So I started freaking out thinking that he could possibly be heard here on the live stream because I was hearing him. So between the phone calls that kept happening, and I kept hitting delete, or, ignore, I had to log off to see what in the hell was going on with him. Todd doesn't believe that I've been plagiarized. Oh, holy shit. He is really crazy. Yeah, he is nuts. I'm glad I'm drawing him as a toad sitting on a cupcake. Yeah, she's plagiarized me like crazy. And so many of her other things were things I had told her in confidence and said, look, don't use this, but this Duggar boy is rumored to be gay. He's been sent to the Pray the Gay Away camp so many times, blah, blah, blah. And just stuff that I shared with her. She didn't even know what the ATIBLP was until I told her about it. She knew none of that. So it's all things she's taken from me. Either rumors I've told her, I've shared with her, or it has been straight up jacking stuff from No Longer Quivering that was actually posted way before she ever got around to it and using it, running with the ball. Who is this Crane person? They deleted their page. Autistic Shill. This Crane person is somebody that's been a problematic person in a bunch of different communities that is very much like KJ, that is always trying to start trouble. She was part of the Justice for Vaughn page. She seized upon that, hit knocked heads with KJ, started doing to KJ what KJ does to everybody else. Somebody sent me a link, telling me to go in and look at it. I did. I came out and said, no, this person's problematic. Do not follow them. And then she turned on me. So I had a lot of problems with her because she would pop up in my live streams and say a bunch of weird stuff. And I would just hit time out because it was pretty awful. She picked my brain and ran with all the knowledge, and then went into NLQ and started reading our content and started sharing it as her own. And one of the nice things about this whole CC Suarez thing that I didn't know yesterday, but I know now, is that I went in there and said, yeah, this woman has plagiarized my content, and just told my little story. And I'd trained her at Pathos, and I knew her really well, and she was problematic. And then I started having people under me telling me about all these other stories that she had stolen and where she stole them from. Almost all of her content is somebody else's life story or situation. So none of her content is very original. Kind of blows my mind that she doesn't have original content. And here's the thing, some of the things that we're all talking about, because, there's times when Jennifer of Funny Friday and I will talk about the same things, and that's okay. Because I know that Jennifer hasn't gone and looked at my content and used it word for word. No, she never said anything about being bi at all. She did strike me and say a bunch of liberal type things about thing of her social things. KJ did say a lot of liberal type things. So she'd be somebody who would have voted for Biden. I can tell you that right now. And her and Todd hold some very liberal type views. She hit a degree of evil that I do not believe she can come back from. Her actions are deplorable. She's the entire basket of deplorables by herself. I'm just going to say it, throw that out there. Everything you guys are telling me this morning is just unbelievable to me, but I'm not. And every time I say, and I've said this before, every time I say she cannot possibly do anything worse, she goes, hold my White Claw, hold my White Claw. Not that this is White Claw, this is like water, canned water. Yeah, I buy canned water. How stupid is that? And she'll do something worse. She'll go to a different level. I've said this. I have kept careful notes for the last 2.5 years on everything that's happened with the intention of writing a book someday. I believe she will try to stop me when I go there with it, but it's going to be a fascinating thing. I can see this ending up on Lifetime. This is Lifetime Movie Network BS. This is the highest degree of petty I've ever seen from any person I've ever known. Yes, she always finds a lower low. What could possibly be next? Human sacrifice? She was crying on a video that the neighbors slashed her gay pride flag and threw it to the ground. From the pictures, it looked to me like it had suffered wind and sun damage. Java man, that's what I said. Because I have always had flags out in front of my house in Virginia. And every now and then, the wind, the sun, the rain, the snow, they take their toll. And you get this distinctive rip pattern that is wear and tear. It's not anyone. It's not anyone fooling with it at all. If somebody did, they just bumped it and it ripped. Your worst nightmare on ID channel. That could be too. Also, Dateline. Particularly if she ever crosses a line and gets busted for one of her 3 felonies a day. Java man, I know it was you that said that all of us commit, the average person commits 3 felonies a day. That just tickles me because I know people do commit felonies every single day, and it just happens. It just happens. Okay, you guys, I'm going to have to go. I can feel my lungs. I had, like I said, I had the most awful experience yesterday with going into that hardware store and discovering it now housed all the biggest assholes in Tamarindo. The place smelled like paint. It was awful. It was really bad. It was a shame because they carry things I would like to buy, but I tend not to shop with assholes. I tend to, if somebody treats me bad, I don't participate with them. And so if Todd says she didn't steal my stuff, that is crazy. And I did not steal any of her content. She is wrong about that. I predate her by quite a bit. I was doing what I was doing way before. Can you imagine her being a neighbor? Oh, hell no. That would be awful. Reagan has a video on her channel about the Flaggate. If anyone's interested in seeing that shit show. Yes, I've seen that. So the Flaggate exists. It was clearly weather-related damage, and she ran with it like it was some kind of big attack on LGBTQ, and it wasn't. She's living in one of the most liberal areas of middle America. And I can't believe she would, I'm just surprised she didn't accuse Trump supporters of doing something to her, because I can see that too. I can see her going there. And I know she doesn't like Trump because she's said it a couple times in live stream, and some of her viewers have lost their minds. So she's learned not to talk about him at all. She did file a police report on that stupid flag thing, and it was so stupid. And I think that the police around there probably know she's a problematic person and know better than to engage. That would be my guess. And everybody calling the police on her and CPS needs to knock it off. Go in real life only feeds her victim mentality. That's the only thing it does. Okay, you guys, I'm going to go. I've just got to go take the meds and lay down. I know it sounds sucky, but that is my life now, unfortunately. And I'm going to take my, like I said, I got a respirator. I have to feel better so that I can paint in there with the respirator on. I can get my husband to do it. But you know something? That's one thing about everything that's happened to me with my body, my stupid body, is I really enjoy doing some of the things that I've had to just put aside. So I'm looking for a way to be able to do those things. Okay, I'm finally going this time. Love you guys. Now I got a pile of streams to watch while I'm drugging myself stupid.